Libra, welcome to your end of February 2020 General Tarot Update. It's Rena here. I'm back to using the Wild Unknown Tarot. I don't know why, I think that's funny, that one, that card. I think Libras will appreciate good art. Isn't that beautiful? And that's a card associated with you, the Empress. A lot of swords. Yeesh. Your swords, but I'm going to this one. I get another swords. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. So the heart of the matter is the Four of Swords, which is a card of, I always get such a kick out of that, because it's like, okay, so we got a lamb, and it's got like this, like a sun in its third eye. Okay, that really explains a lot. I understand why this is the Four of Swords. I like the artwork, but sometimes the illustrations leave me a little bit scratching my head. But you know, I'm sure that has something to do with the sense of renewal, because the lamb represents the spring and all that stuff. And it's funny because we're kind of heading in that direction. But the Four of Swords is a card of renewal. So it can be like when you are, you need a rest, perhaps from, if you're in a toxic workplace and you just kind of burn out. You've been working too many hours. You've been dealing with too much stress from coworkers. You've been the stress of the job itself, something along those lines. So you're just kind of like in this sense of repose. Now, looking at the past position, we do get the Three of Swords. So I have the Four of Swords and the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords can be that card in the Rider-Waite and the Morgan Greer deck, the heart, the sword through the heart, the feeling of rejection, the feeling of a heartache. So perhaps this is a personal relationship situation. Of course, with Libra, you know, that's something that is very important to you. So if you've kind of distanced yourself from somebody because of a lover's triangle, a feeling of rejection from that person, and perhaps it's not necessarily that they're cheating on you, but you know, in some cases it can be you've been dating this person for 5 years and they don't want to move in or get married, and you just feel like, what's wrong? Why won't they do this? Or you can just sense that there is this lack of I don't know if I'd say commitment. Maybe that you don't feel that they're unfaithful, but they just are not putting energy into the relationship. They just see you when they want to see you or what have you, and you're tired of it. Maybe it's something along those lines. And of course, we just had this manufactured holiday called Valentine's Day, and that can trigger people who don't really have what they're looking for, because even if they're in a relationship, they see all of these, you know, to me it's kind of phony depictions of love, which is like the perfect dinner, you know, on Instagram type of things. And that's not a relationship. That's for show. So that holiday, you know, it's a consumer holiday to get people to, you know, spend all this money on gifts and going out to dinner. And I don't mean to be cynical, but Valentine's Day should be every day. It really should. You know, you should feel cherished by your partner every day. Just not because they're buying you something, but just because you can tell that they really care. That's what I'm getting at here. Thank you, Empress card, which, by the way, is connected to Venus. So it's going to have those themes and be connected especially to Taurus and Libra people. So the Empress card as the spiritual message is about what I just said. What is true love? What is love really about? And if this is some kind of a work situation, I would say too that this could be a card of creativity where you may be trying to fit in the wrong place and you're finding that there's pushback, but you don't necessarily belong there. So I wanted to get in that possibility for people that are dealing with workplace matters. It might be something along those lines. What crosses you is the Two of Swords. Well, this is the story of Libra's life. Trying to make a decision, being at kind of the crossroads. And again, I mean, you know, that's not putting down Libra, because you really have this uncanny ability to see things from different angles. And this is extremely valuable in the legal profession, because people can defend, you know, virtually anybody with that type of a mindset. So in this particular case, this is the challenge card. So you may be like, maybe you've taken a leave of absence from work, but you haven't quit. You may have, like, you know, like the three of, I didn't think about this, but maybe there's like a workplace lovers triangle situation going on where you're having an affair with somebody who is your boss, maybe? I don't know. And they're already connected to somebody else, and you're trying to get away from that relationship because you thought maybe they'd leave their partner. But there was something else that I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say, like, if you were promised a promotion and didn't get it, and so it went to somebody else, and you just thought for sure you were going to get it, and then that feeling of disappointment, but also really this is about rejection, and yet you don't have this sense of being comfortable with the idea of necessarily leaving, even though it's kind of presenting itself. You may just be on medical leave or mental health days, you know, whatever you want to call it. Maybe those are one and the same, where you can just chill and you got too stressed out from it. I think all air signs, the stress a lot of times comes from thought. And I think that's one of the reasons why it seems like air signs really take very well to Buddhism, because it stresses this idea of, you know, watching the thoughts in meditation and how the thoughts are not the person. And that could feel very appealing to somebody who sometimes feels tormented by their thoughts, perhaps. Okay, here we go again. So here we got more thoughts. The Daughter of Swords. This is going to be the Page of Swords that's coming in. So you may be kind of, if this is like a workplace situation and you have had a little time off to think about it, you may decide, I'm going to document everything, or you might even get advice to do this so that you can decide what is your next move. If this is a love relationship or maybe a marriage that has kind of fallen by the wayside, you may be deciding whether or not you want to stay in that relationship. Perhaps you've been, you know, the Four of Swords is a separation that you've taken. But the Page of Swords is about being very aware of what's going on around you. So not being kind of naive and just not seeing everything that is going on, but like the owl. This is actually, I think this is one of those things that you don't normally see, and I think this is a great depiction of the Daughter or Page of Swords. And the outcome is the Tower card. So because you got the Two of Swords, and it's kind of like in the challenge position where you may feel like unable to make a choice, the universe may make it for you. If if you're deciding whether or not to stay in a marriage, for instance, and you feel like this person, or maybe you know that this person has been unfaithful, you may still be on the fence, and the universe will kind of settle that for you. Remember that because we still have eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn, this affects all the cardinal signs, including Libra and Aries. And the next eclipse that we're having, that's a cardinal one. We just had one in Cancer, so that was a career one. So that could be what that Four of Swords is all about. Is that, or that, well, we could say more the Three of Swords, that something happened that was unpleasant back in January, or in that period, maybe from December through now, the 40 days, and that was kind of like a layoff or a demotion or something in that vein that just felt very disappointing. And the Tower is like that final release. Now, the next cardinal eclipse, well, let's see, there will be one in, no, that'll be later in the year. I would say is going to be on June 21st in Cancer. So this is going to be a solar eclipse. I think that one is going to be wonderful for you, Libra, because that one is going to be a lot of doors opening up for you. Okay. So, you know, don't feel like, you know, everything is just going to hell in a handbasket, because I think you're going to see a lot of better days ahead. Saturn is going into a fellow air sign, Aquarius, in March, around the time of the March equinox, and that will be in your 5th house of romance. So I think that Libras are going to be very serious in the next several years about love. You're not going to be just wanting to be wined and dined, but you're going to want something more. Perhaps you were in a relationship where you're just kind of playing around and not realizing how that could end in a way that you didn't want. But yeah, so the Tower card can even be that situation. If it's kind of been on again, off again, maybe it's just like final and for the best. Whenever these things come, don't think that it's something bad, because it's actually the universe working on your behalf. Okay, that's what I have for you, Libra. If you would like a love reading, a relationship reading, where I look at both your chart and somebody else's, I love to do those. Those might be my favorite things to do besides natal chart interpretations. I get a lot of positive feedback on it, because I'm really into that. That's like my thing, is like looking at the personality types. I'm much more interested in that than predictions, but I do those too. I mean, I look at the astrological trends that are coming up. So check me out at RainaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below. Have a great rest of February. Boy, did it go fast, didn't it? Take care. Bye.